Hello there everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you aren't, I'm EDJ, and I'm assuming this is the final part of the Pyrrhus of Epirus series by Kings and Generals, and yeah, so I'm assuming because I couldn't find any more after this, and I won't lie, I was a little shocked last video, because Pyrrhus was fighting against Rome, he was gathering Pyrrhic victories, and then he just left to go and invade Sicily, and just as he was about to finally finish it, just one city left, he just leaves to go back and fight Rome. I'm shocked. I was like, Pyrrhus, you need to finish a campaign before opening a new one, bro. So yeah, Rome has taken back everything he took when he was there, so now he needs to basically start from scratch, and yeah, I guess we'll find out, man. We'll find out, because if he's gonna fight Rome one more time, Rome has probably adapted to the elephants. So Pyrrhus, you need to pull off something new, bro. Like, you need to do something new if you're gonna have a chance. Like, and just focus on Rome. Just focus on one thing, Pyrrhus, please. I'm asking you to focus on one. Don't abandon Rome again. Like, you need to finish this. You need to focus all your effort on this. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you want to watch this original video without me pausing to talk or comment, the link is down in the description down below. Without any further ado, I want to just get right into this. Let's watch Pyrrhus Against Everyone by Kings and Generals.
After its retreat from Sicily, the Pyrrhic army finally arrived back to Tarentum in the spring of 275 BC, and Pyrrhus immediately began attempting to rebuild it. Finding troops was seemingly not a problem for the reputable commander, but finding more veteran troops to replace those he had lost in his previous battles was a more difficult matter. The core of the Pyrrhic phalanx were Greeks and the various Balkan tribes, who were in short supply in southern Italy. He had to make do with a weaker militia from Tarentum. Pyrrhus's reputation among the local tribes and Greek city-states had also suffered due to his previous abandonment of them. And
dude, legit though, like, last video he was fighting them, and then he just gets up and leaves for Sicily. Like, that was insane. I was so shocked about that. I was like, wait, are you just leaving? Like, yeah, he ruined his credibility here, right? His reputation. Oh boy. This isn't looking good. He doesn't have the veteran troops. Rome, as we know, replenishes its army like nothing. They adapt to their enemy, so the elephant trick that Pyrrhus used the first two times might not... I don't want to jump the gun too much, but it may not work. And yeah, so inexperienced troops, and an enemy that has regrown its numbers and learned from previous fights. Dude, okay, so we're in round 3, Pyrrhus versus Rome, and this is... I have a really bad feeling. Pyrrhus has defied the odds before, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of getting nervous for you, Pyrrhus. Let's find out if you've learned anything from Rome, and if you can fight them.
so tribes such as the Samnites hardly supported him at all. Once rested and replenished, Pyrrhus and his army marched north to meet the legions for the third time. At that point, there were 2 Roman armies in the field, and feeling confident he could defeat them in detail, Pyrrhus sent a small contingent of his army to Lucania in order to delay the second consular army's approach. He then took around 35,000 of his best remaining soldiers and the main portion of his army to attack the roughly 25,000 strong force of Manius Curius Dentatus, which had encamped on a hill near the town of Beneventum.
I find it interesting that he said that Pyrrhus felt confident in fighting these guys now. I'm wondering if Pyrrhus has learned and if he's about to do something new. Because the only way you're going to keep up with Rome is if you adapt. Rome adapts to its enemies. They learn every fight. If you're going to fight them, Pyrrhus, you're going to have to do the same. I'm interested to see what new ideas, if any, he has in beating them to warrant his confidence.
Again, the Romans had chosen rugged terrain which would disrupt the Pyrrhic phalanx, and had an excellent defensive position. The Epirus could not hope to attack head-on, so Pyrrhus, possibly being influenced by the legendary final stand of the Spartans at Thermopylae, and needing a swift victory, sent 1/4 of the best troops and remaining elephants in his army on a deep flanking maneuver up a forested hillside at night, which would bring them up above and behind the Roman position.
Oh dang, that's bold. Alright, that's very bold of you, Pyrrhus. Yeah, the Romans are also, you're also seeing, like, it's the Romans who eventually conquer and defeat the Greeks. They are kind of responsible for the defeat of the Phalanx, which was the military maneuver after Alexander the Great. You know, so we know the Romans eventually do overcome this, and you're already starting to see just how they're adapting. They're even, not only are they adapting to the elephants, but they're finding ways to beat the Phalanx, man. Like, they know it works better and better ground, so they've chosen rugged terrain to help themselves even more. That's just showing you, man. Like, they haven't gotten to the point where they've completely defeated the Phalanx, but you're seeing it. So yeah, Pyrrhus is trying something new. This flanking maneuver, if it works, will be new, and it'll because before he's just fighting Rome head on. It's like a slog match, but obviously that created so much Pyrrhic victory. So this is new, and I really like it. I'm hoping it works out well. I guess we'll find out, but yeah, you're gonna have to start pulling out new tricks, Pyrrhus, to fight these guys.
Meanwhile, the main force of the army would wait, formed up for battle on the plain below the legionary camp, waiting for the trumpets which would signal that the flanking force had made it. Pyrrhus's flanking contingent set off at dusk and travelled throughout the night, but they got lost in the dark and thickly forested woods, possibly due to the resentment of their Samnite guides, who, itching for revenge, led the Greek force astray.
Oh my gosh.
Contingents of soldiers began to wander off in the dark and become hopelessly lost, while others tried to find the path on their own. Confusion.
Oh, that is a nightmare. Oh, for a while, literally I was like, man, Pyrrhus, great job. And now it's like, oh, dang. Yeah, so it came back to bite him. Pyrrhus should have just stayed. I'm getting the impression that Pyrrhus should have just stayed in Italy. His leaving of his allies to go invade Sicily, if he had finished the job and taken Sicily, I wouldn't have had a problem with that, but the fact that he left that after taking, like, what, 99% of it, and just abandoning it, yeah, it was just a wasted adventure, and nothing good came out of it, and now his allies hate him, and apparently they're leading his troops here, which who knows if I mean, granted, we haven't seen the fully playing out, but I'm assuming that this doesn't work as well as it should have, and then this battle becomes a nightmare for him. I don't know. I think it's also telling that I don't know how Pyrrhus dies. So for all I know, he could die in this battle. I don't know how this man's life ends. I don't know his story. So, like, I'm always wondering, is this gonna be the time they finally get him? Like, it's terrifying.
In this beleaguered group was total, and it was clear that there would be no coordinated night attack. Eventually, even their torches went out, and they were irreversibly lost. Back down on the plain, the soldiers in the main force were kept awake, becoming more and more tired. As the hours ticked by, it became clear to them that the trumpets would not be sounding that night.
Oh my gosh. And now they're sleep depraved. Oh my gosh. And Rome's probably gonna attack any minute. I don't see this going out well, guys. Pyrrhus, you're gonna have to put in everything to somehow salvage this, bro.
And the Pyrrhic flanking force finally emerged fully visible on the heights behind the Romans, with their element of surprise completely gone. Nevertheless, trumpets sounded and the battle began. The Roman Velitae skirmishers charged forward and threw a storm of light javelins at the phalanx, which was already disordered by the terrain, and now began to fray under the pressure. As the Velitaes rushed between the Roman maniples in retreat, the Hastati now smashed into the tired and hungry Phalangites. Their final reign of Pila, as well as their frontal charge, began to disintegrate Pyrrhus' flanking force on the heights, and he hastily ordered his remaining elephants to charge at the Roman flanks. Unfortunately for him, the Romans had learned well, and shifted the Principes, in addition to the withdrawn Velitaes, to the wings, with many Pila at the ready, and they unleashed a withering hail of missiles against the elephants, which panicked and bolted, crushing many of their own tightly packed infantry as they did.
Oh, they finally... I told you they would counter the elephants. Dang, dude, they lost. This entire idea I was praising, right? But man, if it had worked, and they actually did manage to get the drop on them, who knows, right? But like, still, that's just completely backfired on his face. Oh, that sucks.
Seeing that all was lost on the heights, Pyrrhus and a few hundred elite guards began to charge down the hill towards the remainder of his army and attempted to rally them, before positioning himself with the cavalry on the right flank. Turning away from Pyrrhus' now mauled flanking force, the triumphant Roman army began to charge downhill at the main body of the phalanx. As the Romans crashed into the Phalangites with immense momentum, the Pyrrhic left flank quickly caved and began to pull back, followed by the right flank. Again, the now desperate Epirot king attempted to save the situation by sending in his last remaining elephants, and again the Roman skirmishers and javelinmen scattered them. Finally, the battered and exhausted Pyrrhic soldiers could take no more, and Pyrrhus ordered an orderly retreat to prevent his entire army routing.
Wow, he lost, dude. Man, he may have won the first 2 times, but those victories were mainly due to the elephants, dude. Like, you know, now that he lost, yeah, there's just nothing he can do, man. Oh, that sucks.
Crushing defeat was the final straw, and Pyrrhus, whose treasury was completely empty, left a strong garrison in Tarentum before returning to his capital at Ambracia with 8,000 infantry and 500 cavalry. Despite his losses in Italy, Pyrrhus still burned with a limitless ambition and immediately began planning his next campaign.
What?
Whether because he...
Dude, Pyrrhus. Oh my gosh. I hope your next campaign's back in Rome. You gotta at least finish something, dude. Like, he hasn't finished a campaign. Like, he went to Rome, lost, you know, went to Sicily, didn't, just left it. Dude, you need to, like, Pyrrhus needs to rest. He needs to, like, replenish as much as he can his army. And yeah, I just don't know. Hopefully you go back to Rome, dude, or at least something. Like, you essentially have started with he didn't gain anything, really, huh? Yeah, this isn't good, man. Like, oh dear.
Wished to raise more funds, or was angered at Antigonus for not supporting him in Italy, or because he wanted to become the king of Macedon, Pyrrhus attacked his eastern neighbour in 274 BC. The campaign began well, with the Epirots taking many border towns, and even having 2,000 Macedonians.
Okay, so Pyrrhus has now decided, now I'll take Macedonia, which is making my last video. I think he was with the decisions of either going to Sicily or going to Macedon. I said he should probably just go and take the throne of Macedonia. He would have at least had it. I don't know if he would have held it, but he would have had it at the very least. now he's having to play catch up, and it's like, oh, you could have had it right away. So I'm a little iffy, man.
Macedonian phalangites defect to them. After a few weeks, Antigonus marched against the invaders and met Pyrrhus at a narrow gorge near the Aus River.
Nova!
Pyrrhus's veteran phalanx had the best of the initial fighting and drove the Macedonians back, while Antigonus's Galatian mercenary rearguard resisted for a short while, but were then cut to pieces and routed. This left the unengaged Antigonid elephants isolated, and their handlers surrendered both themselves and their animals to Pyrrhus. On the front line of the phalanx clash, the Macedonians were wavering, and the Epirot king decided on a bold course of action. He raised his right arm and called on the Macedonian officers by name to surrender to him. As they had on a number of earlier occasions, the fickle phalanx of Antigonus deserted en masse.
Dang. You know, yeah, we were focusing on his elds, you know, his struggle in Rome, his loss in Rome. But yeah, Pyrrhus is good. Like, he is good, man. Like, Rome is just a different beast, but we've seen when he's not fighting the Romans, he's doing great against everyone else. Like, really great. And that's awesome. You know, he preyed on the Macedonians' fickleness and won this epic battle, yeah. I feel like tactically, he's really great, dude. Like, you know, like, I think the common definitions of tactics and strategy are as follows, at least when I'm referring to them. Tactics is winning battles, strategy is winning wars. I think tactically, Pyrrhus is great, and I think even him holding off against the Romans, he did as good, I think, as anyone could do, quite frankly. I think anyone else would have just been completely dog-walked. So even then, his performance against the Romans are impressive. So tactically, I think he is great. Though I think strategically, I'm trying to... He's abandoned 2 campaigns already. He technically lost them with Sicily and Rome. So I'm trying to understand what his bigger goal is. I guess is carving out an empire, but like the way he's going about it's really all over the place. So I think strategically there's a lot left to be desired, to put it nicely. I think strategically he needs to work on that, because tactically, yeah, he can win battles, he can win and be impressive in the heat of a battle, but he needs to win a campaign. He needs to work his strategy up. I guess it's kind of like the Hannibal Barca situation. Tactically great, but strategic wise, probably could use a bit more improvement. You know, yeah.
The battle was over, and Antigonus fled with a few bodyguards to Thessalonica. Pyrrhus now followed up his victory by overrunning all of Thessaly and most of Upper Macedonia, while Antigonus managed to hang on to some of the coastal cities with his strong navy. Always the tactician and never the strategist, Pyrrhus failed to finish off Antigonus when he...
What the heck? Okay. I swear, if he abandons Macedonia now, I'm gonna be like, dude, Pyrrhus. I'm glad Kings in General seems to agree with me. Great tactician, but his strategy, bro, Pyrrhus, you need to work on your strategic game. You need to put out a goal, and you need to plan out how you're gonna get that bigger goal, you know?
He had the chance, and he would pay the price. A rejected Spartan royal candidate named Cleonymus appeared at the Epirot court and approached Pyrrhus, proposing a plan to overthrow the Spartan king Areus and place himself on the throne while the king was campaigning in Crete. The opportunity to place his own puppet on one of Sparta's thrones was too tempting, as it would allow the conquest of the remaining Antigonid strongholds in southern Greece. With 25,000 infantry, 2,000 cavalry, and 24 elephants, Pyrrhus invaded the Peloponnese in 272 BC, crossing the Gulf of Corinth by sea, as the only land route into the area at the Isthmus of Corinth was occupied by Antigonid forces. The Pyrrhic army disembarked.
Okay, I'm not completely against this, because yeah, the strongholds are held by Navy, so Pyrrhus deciding to now help this guy win Sparta. I'm not as against as the others, because technically this still works for his overall goal of Macedon, because with this Spartan help, he could probably help take out on Antigonus's, strongholds. So overall, okay. Alright, I'm not against this, since it's still working towards... He hasn't completely abandoned Macedonia, the Macedon idea, so... Alright. Maybe Pyrrhus is starting to strengthen his strategy. Let's see.
And then marched south towards Megalopolis in Arcadia, where he was met by the Spartan ambassador. Here, Pyrrhus lied and professed that he simply wished to attack the forces of Antigonus and to liberate the Greek cities from his rule. He also claimed that he wished to send his sons to Sparta for a military education, and the Spartans believed him, proceeding to reduce their patrols. Pyrrhus then betrayed the Spartans and marched on their city through the friendly territory of Messenia.
What the heck?
By keeping to the west of the Taygetos Mountains, he concealed his movements from the Spartans and emerged to the south of Sparta, completely surprising them. Outside of the city, Pyrrhus's 27,000 strong force met Sparta's 15,000 and routed them.
So Pyrrhus has just decided to... He just decided to just... Okay, yeah, sorry, I just need to rewatch. Okay, so yeah, he's helping this guy and taking Sparta. Yeah, alright.
Strong force met Sparta's 15,000 and routed them.
Still, now I'm starting to think if this is really a... Actually, I think I'm going back on what I said. Maybe you should have focused more on Antigonus. Oh man, Pyrrhus is all over. I'm sorry guys if I just got confused. Like, Pyrrhus is all over the place. He's jumping from Sicily to Rome to now back here on Macedon. He probably should just focus more on Antigonus. He already kind of had him on the ropes. Now I'm starting to think maybe this whole Spartan idea wasn't a good idea. I think he's making another issue that he probably shouldn't be making. I'm starting to think this is just all a bad idea. Maybe Pyrrhus should have just focused on one area and given all his effort and attention. He's jumping all over the place, man. I don't know. I don't know about this, dudes.
As he marched on the city, the Spartan council decided to send their women and children away to safety in Crete. However, when they learned of the decision, the Spartan women vigorously opposed it. One woman, known as Archidamia, came to the council with sword in hand, saying that she had no wish to live on if Sparta perished. Their resolve was strengthened by the courage that their women showed, and they began...
You have to give it to the Spartans, man. They definitely had that grit to them.
Began to construct defensive trenches and stone walls. As they did, however, their women came to them and told the soldiers to rest, as they would need all the strength they could get, and they themselves began to prepare the defenses. In the morning, Pyrrhus led a frontal attack on the Spartan trench, but was repelled. His son, Ptolemy, then led a force of 2,000 Galatian and Epirot infantry around the left side of the trench, but he was ambushed from the rear by 300 men following the Spartan prince Acritatus, and Ptolemy's soldiers were almost all killed, with only a small contingent managed.
Oh my gosh. It only took them 300. What is with Spartans and their 300s? I'm joking. But dang, dude. Pyrrhus. Just go... Oh my gosh. This whole side adventure, I'm starting to think he should have just focused more on Antigonus and getting him. Oh man, this whole side adventure, man. He's like a real life like gamer. Like when I'm playing war games, I will often, like when I'm playing Warband, I'm fighting an army, a nation, and then I'll decide to declare war on another nation and start doing a bunch of different things. Because, you know, it's a video game and it's fun and I get bored. But this is real life. You think, like, ideally, right? You would want to finish something before moving on to something else, finishing a campaign, right? Like, isn't that ideal in real life warfare? But Pyrrhus, man, he's like just jumping everywhere. He's like a real life like Total War player. Like, man, like Pyrrhus, like what is it? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the
managing
video.
to make it back to the Epirot line. Pyrrhus then attempted several more times to break the Spartan defences, but the trench held firm. The Spartan women continued to assist in the battle, digging further defences and carrying the wounded away to the rear. Nightfall eventually stopped the battle. Irritated at his failure, Pyrrhus retreated and marched on Argos to intervene in a dispute. However, during the withdrawal, his son Ptolemy was killed in a Spartan ambush.
Oh, that sucks. He lost his son. But don't you want to finish what you started with Sparta? He's just leaving to attack. Oh my gosh. Pyrrhus, just focus on one thing. This whole adventure didn't even have to happen. Oh man.
And Pyrrhus descended into a black mood. Two politicians, Aristeus and Aristippus, were feuding in Argos. As Aristippus was an ally of Antigonus, it was only natural that Aristeus sought aid from Pyrrhus. As he arrived near the city, Pyrrhus saw that his rival Antigonus had already occupied the heights above the
Okay, we're back to Antigonus. That whole Spartan adventure, that weird side adventure you got into, distracting, but finally we're back. We're back with the Macedon issue and Antigonus, your rival. Focus on him, Pyrrhus. Win Macedon, and then focus on everything else. Oh my gosh. Pyrrhus is something. He's making me all over the place, man. Like, we followed Alexander the Great and Hannibal and Napoleon, but Pyrrhus is so erratic. He's just jumping everywhere, you know? I'm like, just focus on one thing. Just do one thing, Pyrrhus, please. Just take him out.
plain and challenged him to come down onto the plain and fight for the kingdom. Antigonus, who was a much more cautious and less glory-seeking character than Pyrrhus, declined and retreated slightly from the city, as his army was much smaller than that of Pyrrhus. During the night, Pyrrhus's allies within Argos opened one of the gates into the city, and his Galatian mercenaries took possession of the marketplace, along with his elephants. The Argives, who learned of the attack, sounded the alarm and rushed to take strongpoints in the city. In addition, they sent messages to Antigonus asking for help. He had not withdrawn far and quickly marched back to his position outside the city, sending a contingent inside in order to assist against Pyrrhus. At the same time, Spartan king Areus came with a force of 1,000 lightly armed Spartans and Cretans. The Argives, along with their new allies, attacked the Galatian mercenaries. However, as the night progressed, the darkness caused both sides to become confused, and so the fighting died down into...
Awesome, Pyrrhus, get out of there now. Dang, he's being surrounded. You need to get out of there, Pyrrhus. You should have just followed Antigonus. You should have just... Yeah, is this whole Argos thing really necessary?
Morning. When the sun rose and illuminated the situation, Pyrrhus was concerned by the numbers of the enemy troops in the city and decided to retreat, but was worried by the narrowness of the gates. He sent a message to his son Helenus to tear down a part of the city wall to allow a quicker withdrawal, but the courier misheard the order due to the noise of fighting. Instead, he delivered an order to march to his father's assistance in the city, and his relief force clashed head-on with his father's retreating force. The largest of Helenus' elephants had also become trapped in the narrow gateway and blocked the retreat. The Epirot army inside the city now began to panic and flee in all directions as the Argives attacked, while Pyrrhus himself turned to his pursuers. One of them was a hastily enrolled poor young man of the city. He managed to wound Pyrrhus slightly with a spear through his breastplate, but was set upon by the king and a duel began.
Oh my gosh. We only have... Is Pyrrhus gonna die here? We have like 1 minute left. He has not accomplished Macedon, he did not accomplish Sicily, he did not accomplish Sparta. Oh my gosh. The man is gifted in tactically, but... I mean, gifted's a strong word, but he's good at tactics, obviously. He can win fights, it's just like... His strategic gain, I'm a little confused on it. Even after watching all of this, but... Come on, Pyrrhus, come on, bro.
This Argive's mother was said to be watching the battle from the rooftops, and seeing her son confronted by such a lethal foe, threw a roof tile at him in desperation, which knocked him off his horse. Pyrrhus of Epirus, the fiery figure who had battled Romans, Carthaginians, Macedonians and Spartans, was beheaded as he lay injured on the ground.
That's how he goes out? Man, these conquerors don't have happy endings, do they? Napoleon lost everything, got exiled to St. Helena and died. Hannibal Barca failed to defeat Rome. I think he was exiled and died. Julius Caesar got stabbed. Alexander the Great got sick out of nowhere and died. Oh my gosh. But this one feels the most anticlimactic, like... Literally, some Spartan woman has the claim of killing Pyrrhus. Dude, Pyrrhus, man. Bro.
The death of Pyrrhus caused his army to surrender, and in the aftermath, Macedonian hegemony was re-established over Greece. Pyrrhus would be one of the last vestiges of the Alexandrian spirit of a Greek warrior king. But there are always more stories to tell, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button.
That's it. Dang, dude, that is, dang. I'm happy I watched this series, by the way. This was an awesome series. I was gonna try to go weekly by it. Granted, the release of this series will be on a weekly basis, but I watched this all in one day. Dang, man. First off, I just want to say I loved this. This was the series that I wanted to react to. No one asked me to react to this. I chose to on my own, and I loved it. I loved learning about Pyrrhus, but man, I think, like I said, tactically the man is great. I think he can win he can win battles and do really well in them, but his strategic aim, it just seems all over the place. I'm not sure what his bigger goal was. He just seemed, someone sends, hey, you want to help me? He just jumps there. Hey, you want to conquer this? He's all over the place, like. And at the end, he kind of left not accomplishing anything. He didn't expand Epirus, he didn't take Sicily, he didn't defeat or subdue Rome, he didn't defeat his rival Antigonus, he didn't take all of Macedon, he didn't take Sparta. He didn't accomplish, what the heck? Like, oh my gosh, his lasting legacy is the term Pyrrhic victory, which is a victory, but you lost a lot, so... Man. GG Pyrrhus, man, but like, man, he was all over the place. That was wild, guys. But I really love this series. I really love learning about him. I'm glad I didn't know anything. I just felt like on the edge of my seat. I thought he would die against the Romans or something, but nah, the dude went on to do a bunch of other things. But yeah, that was an interesting series. But we're not done with Rome yet, guys. Because next, we're going to focus on Julius Caesar by Historia Civilis, and it's going to be quite the adventure. For now, GG, rip in peace, Pyrrhus of Epirus, you glorious eagle. It's been fun, but it's time to move on. Bye, everyone.